Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Shay and the Good People. I'm Shay of the Good People. We got another podcast episode for you. We're going. We're not stopping. We're continuing. As you can see, if you're watching, we're in an incredible new space. I'm so grateful to Alex and Neil. And yeah, we're just here on, it's February. And Shay and the Good People, if you haven't listened before, you're listening to the podcast, but it's a pairing, kind of an amuse-bouche, or maybe it's like the dessert portion to the live Shay and the Good People show. So I host a show at Pete's Candy Store here in Brooklyn, New York, baby, called Shay and the Good People. I'll do original music, and then we have 3 different singer-songwriters every single show. And depending on everyone's schedule, sometime after their performance, I have them in the studio to talk about their music, about their lives, literally coffee, maybe we'll end up talking about. Because that's really my only addiction at this point, maybe worrying. But also, as the episode goes on, you will hear clips of my guest that I have in the studio today. And of every episode of Shay and the Good People, you will hear clips of them actually performing on our live show, Pete's Candy Store. So after this, I'll give you a little bit more info. You can come out and see us live. Thank you for tuning in. And today in the studio, we have Spencer Brill.
That's my walk-on music. How did you know?
You come out behind the curtain. You're like, hey.
Smoke and all sorts of magic lights.
Yeah. We bring out the theatrics only for you. Wow, amazing, Spencer. Thank you so much. You were on our October 2023 Shay and the Good People show. Mm-hmm. But I got to know you a little bit before because you were just such a great patron of the show. I feel like you came to a couple of our live performances. You came to see my sister play, and then after the show, we never saw you again. No. So after you got the gig, we never saw you again.
Yeah, that's it. And here we are. No, it was such your show, Shay and the Good People, was such a wonderful community thing, and just such a. I think I went to 2 or 3 of those and really just loved everyone that came on. Such a well-curated event. Highly recommend everyone listening to this go to that show. Just a super fun. It's a great, I think finding niches or finding small communities of people in the city who are sort of have a similar mission or similar focus is just a crucially important part of the whole puzzle. So really attracted to that. Yeah,
totally. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Can't really do much without community, I'm learning.
Turns out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a lone wolf, though. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Well, I find a lot of... I don't know. I was going to make a generalization. I was going to be like, well, a lot of men are lone wolves. And I was like, Shani, you're projecting because a lot of the men I date are lone wolves. But that doesn't mean that's the general population.
Sure, yeah.
That just means I have some more healing to do.
Sure, fair.
In choosing partners. But yeah, it was so great to finally have you on the show. And I also really appreciated you showing up, supporting. Maybe that's an ego thing of oh wow, people are coming to the show. It's something I've wanted to build, and not putting it on the pressure of musicians, but the pressure of non-musicians of I've wanted to have regulars. I wanted to have people who are what I like about doing the show is that they're new people every single time, and I get to trick my friends into coming and performing because I just love their music, and also people that I'm fans of in the city. I get to hear their music. I've written to, people who live in Brooklyn but are probably their careers have probably surpassed where they don't actually have to or want to do shows in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
A couple levels up from me, and I've wanted to have them on the show to be able to grow it, but also I love their music, and they haven't DM'd me back. So
they will.
We're working on the level that we're at.
That's I find that when booking a show, it's a lot of times when I'm trying to put a bill together, I'm like, who do I really want to see live?
Totally.
Who's going to push the boundary in some way, or who's going to be really, exciting or interesting, or somebody that I'm like, oh my God, I've seen them on, just kill it on social media, or they're, just like whatever I've come across. I'm like, yeah, I want to just be a fan of theirs, in person. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And I'm also like, if I'm putting a bill together, it's got to be someone that I want to see, because I really want to go home after I play. Like after I play a show, immediately, I'd like to not talk to anybody, and I would like to just go straight out of there. I'd love to get to that Jerry Seinfeld level where it's like you can just go out the back door.
It's so funny.
And you don't have to stay. So I'm like, it's got to be someone that I really, really want to stay for.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
But not that it matters or is going to make sense when people are listening to this episode, but it's February 2024 right now, and I took January and February off of the show. I started it in April 2022, and it's helpful for me to hear that you enjoyed the show and the community, because I've enjoyed taking a break, and have been debating, we're going to bring the show back. We're going to do it. And probably when you're listening to this, there's a show coming up. So go to @Shay the Good People on Instagram so you can see when our next show is. But it's like building a thing like takes more energy than one thinks. This is like about, I would love to hear your perspective too about building something, because being in the city, being in New York City, living in New York City, building something, building a show, building a podcast, building a art, building a business probably in New York. There's excitement, there's consistency, there's a certain amount of discipline, but the energy is the most confusing thing for me to figure out how to allow myself the ebb and flows, because I am a very much an ebb and flow creative person. And when I'm fired up, like everything gets done. Like it's an incredible, like creative hurricane. And then after, like what happens the next day after a hurricane, like it's completely silent, completely quiet. And I've not enjoyed that part. Like I just want to, what the fuck happened? I was doing so well, I had so much energy, and now I literally don't want to do anything. Like do you have a sense of your kind of creative flow?
Yeah, I mean I think that there's seasons of energy, and sort of like, I would say over the last few months, like I've played one show with my band in January of this year. I have, another show coming up soon. But over the last like 2 to 3 months, it was kind of felt like a hibernation time. And it was like, I'm sort of heads down writing, sort of plotting for what's coming next, like goal setting, trying to figure out like, what are the things that I'm really like hoping to accomplish this year. A lot happened last year that was great. And so it's like, what's sort of the next iteration, the next level. And I think like trying not to be so hard on yourself is what I'll say. But I know that's the hardest thing. I think we're all, we can all be certainly our own worst critics, and really hard on ourselves about stuff, and like things not moving fast enough, but really I think that, where we are in the world and what we're doing creatively is like, we're all sort of where we're meant to be in any given moment. And like taking time away from sort of like the producing and like putting on an event and like hosting a bunch of great artists, like I think there's just like seasons of that ebb and flow naturally, like in nature and like in us as humans. So I don't, it's one of those things that's like.
So you don't get mad about it?
I mean, I do.
Okay. Okay, he's a saint. Great.
I definitely do get mad about it. I mean, and I'm like, oh wow, I really should have like done X, Y, Z, and like it didn't, it didn't happen. But I would say that like, building. I think coming back to like I think the goal setting part of it, like the thing that sort of is like, what's the thing on the horizon? What's the sort of like the next level that I'm aiming for, and being able to sort of like funnel energy, time, resources, like money, whatever, towards that end is the thing that will, I think, help to maintain the excitement, maintain the energy. Like if you're like, yeah, the point of there's a great book called The Art of Gathering, which I don't know if you're familiar with, but
Yeah, that's been like circulating. It's pretty new.
it's been around. It's been around for a few years. Yeah, but the sort of one of the points in there is like, having an intention for like why we have gatherings in general. Like why is it that Shay and the Good People is happening at Pete's Candy Store on a Tuesday night? Like, what's the intention for being in that space? And it's like, when I have a party or like have people over, like it's not just like, hey, we're going to get together and do a thing, or like when someone builds a community online or whatever. And it's like, if it's kind of ultimately an aimless sort of endeavor, or there's no real kind of like focus as to like the reason that we're doing something, the energy can fall away on your side, on the people who attend side. So that's my 2 cents.
That's a very good point. And I think why I needed a break from the show was I was very egotistically focused on like growing it and feeling frustrated that like I don't know how to get butts in seats.
Sure, yeah.
It's a free show, but also I'm spending a lot of money on it, right. And I'm going to these like random comedy shows like in a backyard, and it's packed to the gills, and like people don't want to see music anymore. Like I started to get bitter, and like none of those things. Oh, breaking the furniture! I just kicked it. None of those things have to be true or are true.
Yeah.
And I like very. That's a good reminder that I like very clearly lost the intention, which was just like, and maybe I need to refine the intention a little bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, I know
the mission can shift. I mean, it's not like
what?
It's not a one and done. It's not, like we started this doing one thing and like the focus is doing another thing. I mean, as far as like getting butts in seats, it is an issue like across the industry. I've been talking with people who are like, bookers for like giant acts, and they are having really a hard time getting anybody to come to anything.
For music specifically?
For music. Yeah. I mean, it's like that, the speculation that like the future of music around the country is like 500 to 1,000 cap rooms. Like that's it. And like 500,000 cap rooms for us, it would be is amazing. Huge, it's huge. Yeah. But for people who are like, just giant acts who've been around for 15, 20 years, who are, like there's one Taylor Swift, and there's like, and there are a bunch of bands that can sell out like Terminal 5, which is like a 3,500 cap room or something.
Yeah.
But like for the most part, people are like, I saw a huge band, Emarosa. I love them. I saw them play. They've been around for forever. And there were like 250 people in like a 500 cap room. And I was like, it was like a Friday or Saturday night. And it's like, if they can't bring the people in, like, what am I going to do? And so that turns into like, oh my God, what?
Well, the rabbit hole.
Why bother?
Totally.
But like, I think the making the art and doing the art is the why. Like that's got to be it. It's like just getting out there and doing it.
Yeah, but I want a Tesla. I'm just kidding.
Do you?
I don't. No, I don't want. Actually, my favorite or my dream car is a Subaru Forester.
Oh yeah,
like
that's hilarious.
2004
totally.
Subaru Forester.
That will last you forever, literally.
Forever.
900,000 miles on it. And,
we want the screen, and then like
the roof,
nice
the
roomy,
roof,
in the back that I can kind of just travel. Yeah, I'm having. I mean, it like kind of makes me feel better, but also,
if making money is the end goal, right? If it's like really, I mean, if it's the like making enough to have a 2004 Subaru Forester, like that's
no car loan,
no car loan, paid in cash,
honey, of course.
Is that like the approach is different? I think like it's like there's just sort of. I don't know, theoretically, like constant sort of iterations on how one can find ways to make money doing this and getting creative with how you're doing that. Like,
yeah, totally.
So.
And again, like intention. And also, I would love to hear if you have like a spiritual practice or kind of like what the relationship that you have with self. But it's also like, we have no idea what the journey is. And like what we believe that we can't have or is not for us is not going to happen.
Yeah.
And what we believe we can have, if we could hold a vision, I don't know for how long, that's not really up to us. The how is not really up to us. But, things can shift regardless of the industry. I believe, regardless of the industry, regardless of how much money you have in the bank, regardless of where you come from or who you are or what your situation is, if you want to create something and you have been given the gift in life to be an artist or to be given the gift that you feel like you can make that choice, it's possible. It may not look like what you want it to look like or what you thought it looked like, but it is 100% possible, and you are deserving and worthy of whatever you want. I'm talking to you, I'm talking to me, I'm talking to anyone listening, anyone watching. Like, I truly, truly believe there's enough to go around.
Totally.
Even if I have many moments where I don't feel like enough and I'm not sure what money's going to look like this month. I have a couple dates on the calendar of like when a paycheck's coming in, but this month I'm having to have a lot of faith and prayer.
Breathe in, breathe out. Is this the end? If I make it out, I swear I'll never take you for granted again. I hear loved ones leaving voicemails for the dead.
Do you have a spiritual practice or a meditation practice?
Yeah. So I
cold plunge.
What's that?
Cold plunge.
Cold plunge. Yeah, that's the. I was raised Unitarian Universalist, which is a super progressive, sort of liberal religious upbringing.
Nice.
It's the Black Lives Matter on the church front. It's the like marching for all the for everything. It's very, very like action oriented too, which I love. And so that's been my sort of. I definitely been brought up to like. I think one of the things that's helped me is that I've been brought up to kind of question everything, and so like I take nothing at face value, or like sort of always, when I'm just told that like, oh, this course that I'm selling is going to be the thing that will rocket you to 1 million streams, on Spotify next week or whatever. It's like, it's sort of stuff that like, I'm always kind of deeply thinking about sort of like what are the other intentions behind that, or what's the sort of nonsense, or
is it skepticism?
I would say it's just like.
It seems lighter than that.
Yeah, I would say it's like a healthy skepticism. It's like, that I trust well and deeply with, people that I, with most folks and almost anyone that I meet pretty quickly.
It's very gullible folks.
Yeah, but it's definitely like, it's helped me in that way. As far as like, so my spiritual practice has been, or my sort of meditative creative practice came from doing The Artist's Way, which is a
cool.
Julia Cameron book, which highly, highly recommend. Have you done that?
Yeah, I have the book. I always get to week 7 and then something happens.
Yeah.
Honestly, I get to week 7 and like my life is so great every single time that I just don't continue.
Yeah.
But I have one of my biggest flaws. I know I have some. You're shocked. I can see it in your face. But something I'm working on is like, I've said this on the pod before, but I don't think I'm a workaholic, but I am a projectaholic. And I have trouble following through and finishing things.
Yeah.
Like on a schedule consistently. Some people don't have that problem, but I've like do The Artist's Way and I get to week 7 and like things are going great and I just don't make time for it. Sure. I just have not. It's me. It's all me to do it. But it is. Amazing.
It was a life changer, a game changer for me going through that. I mean, have
you only done it once?
I did. I went through the whole thing. Okay. Yeah, once. Yeah. And I've been basically journaling. I did the daily pages, I did artist dates, like very, very regularly for a long time. And the sort of the daily pages has turned into like every so often pages.
Yeah. Can you explain real quick those two things?
Totally. Yeah. Daily pages is basically writing out 3 handwritten pages in the morning every day. And really what most people find and what I found was that after page 2 of just kind of like writing out your thoughts is that you really start to dig into the really kind of the deep stuff. You hit a level where you're like, oh wow, like this is what is really going on, or like this is what I really think. And then also as you're going through it and you're like, you know, if I wrote for the last 3 days, I should really do XYZ thing. Like I start to be like, okay, I'm an idiot for like not actually doing that thing. Like I should just do it rather than like sitting here and complaining and like writing about it again.
Yeah.
So it's like a really great motivator. It's helped. Like I have, you know, sort of severe perfectionist tendencies, and like that's helped a lot with that whole process. The artist date is where you take yourself out on a solo date to go experience art in some form or another. So it's like, or it could be just like going to do, you know, like some people view their artist date as like going solo grocery shopping and just like spending time, like, you know, looking through things and, you know, or like taking a walk in nature. Like
what were some of your artist dates?
A lot of music focused stuff. So, I mean, I would go out to shows. I would like just go by myself and go and, you know, talk to people and, just like learn and watch. And like, I really, I love to, you know, I guess it was twofold. It was one, it was like, okay, this is like inspiration for other stuff that I might be writing and working on. And also is like, what is working? Like what's like being out in the field and like being like, okay, yep. Like this person did this and that was amazing. And like, I want to take that for my own like performance or for my own writing or whatever. And like, this is like a new band I fell in love with or whatever the case may be. So it was great for a lot of different reasons. And I'm like, I still do artist dates. You know, I'm going to a show tonight. I'm going to a show tomorrow. Like, you know, you know, I like to aim to be the fan I want to see in the world. You know?
Oh, yeah.
So,
I love that.
So.
And also something that really helped me seeing a lot of shows, like my first year or two in the city, which was pre-pandemic. I moved here in 2017. Which I think is really helpful if folks are like super intimidated about moving to New York, is that you get to see so much bad stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Or you get to see so much mediocre stuff, which is really helpful to be like, oh, it's like to not feel intimidated about living in New York, being in New York and being like, oh, I can do this too. Because oh, I know that my skill on my craft is like, I'm just it's not better or worse, but it's like, oh, I can do that. And then also seeing the opposite side of seeing like incredible stuff and being like, whoa. Just
like magic happening. I've played on some showcases and seen some other shows where I'm like, there's like straight up like magic happening in this room right now. Like there's unbelievable talent, and like the hobby level in New York is so high. Like because there's so many talented people who are here to like soak in that, you know, the you know, the arts and sort of build a career in that in the space. And so it's like just people who are like kind of casually doing it are also, you know, sometimes just like really killing it. And you're like, oh my God. Yeah.
But there's star power sometimes when you see people and you're like,
yeah. Thank you so much for acknowledging that. I'm so glad that I'm here.
Like when you see Spencer Brill, your mind will be blown and you're like, you don't need this HR job anymore. Get on the road, get out there.
I've actually switched to banking. I'm not a banker. Yeah, that's, no, I'm just kidding.
You are?
No, I'm not.
That's always my joke is like, you know what? I should just work at Bank of America. Like, what the fuck am I doing?
I'm a long time listener, first time caller.
Yeah. Totally.
But I mean, when it comes to like the font of creativity, I mean, you know, like it's everyone is an artist if they want to be, and everyone has some artistic spark in them. And the artist's way, I think, like it didn't like start that spark for me, but I watched it happen with a lot of other people in a way that was really transformative. Like people like quit their jobs because they're like, this is not what I want to be pursuing, or like it's like really honing in like, what is it that like makes you human and like, you know, want to go on for the day.
Totally. I mean,
so
yeah, I was working in sales for a solar panel company.
Hell yeah.
When I moved back to New York in 2022, and like things were like picking up in a big way in terms of like this other group that I perform with, and like I just needed time to not be on my computer all day or on the phone all day to like really focus and do shows and write and jump into gigs whenever. Like I just needed to take something whenever it came up.
Yeah.
And yeah. And I don't know. Spencer's also helped me. You have also helped me like answer countless emails about me trying to get a job, because I had a moment last fall where I was like, fuck, like I need to just get a full-time gig. I need to get a full-time gig. And like nothing is worked out, which is great, because I feel like
and that's a testament to me actually being a shitty recruiter.
Yeah, so don't talk to Spencer. No, I think that, you gave me incredible resources and like actually really encouraged me when I sent you my resume and like my LinkedIn. But I think, this is my woo-woo side coming out, but I just think the universe is like, you're not doing that. Like, you're not going to want to do that. It would have happened so much easier.
Yeah. I mean, sure. But I mean, I think I think that there's a.
You hate that.
I do, yeah. The actionable side of my spiritual practice is like the do the thing, is like it's the time will be right. I mean, the market also, as a complete aside to any music related thing, the market is crazy right now, and like I hope by the time this podcast comes out that there's a market correction and like people are employed again, and it's easier for people to find work that's meaningful and good and pays well. Like that's So anyway.
And I also think that I like have been, regardless, like as many applications as I fill it, like apply for, and I've been like finding some cool music stuff, like full-time gigs. Like through so far, there was a job at Virgin Hotels director of entertainment that looked perfect. And I mean, looked perfect, but I applied. I found people's emails. I wrote to them, and then like it's completely out of my hands.
Yeah, totally.
And also I've been saying to myself and to people around me, like, I'm going at this full time. So like, what am I telling my brain, or like, what am I telling energy? Literally like moving atoms, molecular, quantum physics, whatever. Like I'm saying one thing, but then I'm doing another. So where does my energy actually get pulled? And what's the result of like me saying that, like me being scared of not having enough money is different than like, you know what? I really am looking to get a full-time job and a it's not, if I'm being completely honest, I'm not really aligning. Yeah. And would love for it to kind of like work out in the right timing. Sure. With like, somebody recommended me, blah, blah, blah. Right. But also I know that what would be the most aligning is like going on tour. Sure. Or like getting, a couple gigs, a couple high paying gigs, doing weddings or events or this, corporate gigs. Like that actually would feel like the best job ever.
I mean, I think you're putting the onus completely on yourself about like you not doing enough, or not having the energy, or not aligning the energy or the atoms or whatever with the universe to say that you're not like but it's not. There's so many factors outside of your control. There's 8.5 million reasons why, like, something.
Well, it's all your fault.
I know.
It's really.
I'll take, you know what? And I will take that, and I will sit with it. I'll journal about it tomorrow.
In your 3 pages,
thank you.
Like, Shayna's a fucking bitch.
Never.
Did it feel like? Oh, last thing I'll say about Artist Way, but that's awesome, super encouraging. I hope that it helps people look into Artist Way more, because it's really like, it really helps when you're feeling stuck, or if you're like, don't have the money to spend on a group or like a coach, or like don't have the money to record an album, which is like something I really, really, really want to do this year.
I might have never released the 2. The 2 songs that I released last year would probably still be sitting in a queue if not for that.
Wow, that's
like,
cool.
That's how impact. Like, they just would have been sitting on a shelf. I'm in the shower, in my head again, with the convo on replay. I would give up almost anything to make this go away. Don't believe a word I say, I never it comes to social media, when it comes to Instagram, like for me personally, I just like find it completely soul sucking. And like, I understand that there is, you know, some business case to be made to do that stuff. But, you know, I think that it's like, I would say building an email list is maybe the most important thing. There's a great book by...
Do you have an email list?
I do, yeah.
Am I on it?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I'll get you on it.
Hello?
Yeah. It's through my website, spencerbrill.com.
Plug.
But, you know, there's basically like, there's a book called Perennial Seller. It's Ryan Holiday, great author.
Love.
Yeah.
Obstacle is the way.
Obstacle's the way. Yeah. Ego's the enemy. Anyway, he's got a book called Perennial Seller, which is about like Iron Maiden, I think, like building their band as a business and like how they built it bigger. And basically one of the points in the book was like social media, like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and all these things will go away. At some point they'll disappear, they'll be enveloped by something else, and the next new competitor will come along once all of our, you know, boomer parents have sort of done all the TikTok dances and like we've moved on to the next thing, right? So like, however, an email list is like, will live through all of that. It's been around since 1990, you know, and it's like
my birth year. Oh, I just outed myself.
You know, it's just like it'll survive everything, and you also own it. It's a direct line to your fans. It's a direct line to anybody that's interested in what you're doing. And like with Instagram, for example, you know, you have to say the same message 8 times before you even reach everybody one time.
Yeah.
And so with an email, you can speak directly to people, and building that email list like right away is the thing. So I'm constantly trying to find resources, and I'm working. I discovered something really cool called Set.live that I pitched from my last show, where like it's like a geotagged, you know, mailing list sign up basically and like sweepstakes attached to it. So I can be like, hey, I'm going to give away a free shirt, or like I'm going to give a,
it's your lead magnet, right?
Yeah. But it doesn't, you know, it's just like finding tools like that to kind of like help build like real one-on-one connections with people. Cause that's what will sustain it. Like the Perennial Seller is like, you know, it's that, you know, it's those personal connections. It's the building the thing that where like you can build an audience of people that are interested in supporting you and, you know, like are gonna faint when you like Taylor Swift's people who are like when she drops a new album, she's like, oh my God, the title of the new album is out, and it's like people are losing their minds.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it'd be great.
She never had an email list.
She never did.
Yeah.
Is that true?
I don't think so.
I mean, she interacted differently. She was like literally talking to her fans like at every show for forever, and like there's a whole she's got a really incredible sort of music history, but
yeah,
but that's the way to sort of like you own that data, and like also like own those relationships, and like it's not you're not reliant on like the benevolence of Mark Zuckerberg or, you know, like ByteDance or whatever to like push anything for you. So anyway, that's
great. That's great. One piece of advice.
Yeah.
Get that email list going. Yeah. I've been trying to figure out how to just capture more emails in an authentic way. I don't know if I don't like capture is the right word.
No, I mean, capture's not the right. Yeah. I mean,
like a butterfly capture.
It's fine. Yeah.
Okay. I want to ask about, you talked a little bit about before the first song, you talked a little bit about your history, about Hospital Song and what you went through and what your body and mind went through. So can you talk to me a little bit about Hospital Song?
Yeah, totally. So it was a song that I wrote 2 years after. So I was in the hospital for a week with COVID in March of 2020. And then 2 years later, I was doing sort of a writing exercise and drafted the song. And the question was about the experience itself, or was the question?
Yeah, but also didn't you have more medical?
Oh yeah,
intensities.
Yeah, I'm just like a medical miracle. I had 2 spinal surgeries in the end of.
That's what I wanted the people to hear.
2022.
Yes, honey.
Yeah, for a benign tumor in my lower spine, which was really super fun. Highly recommend it. Yeah.
Lower spine.
Yeah, super good. Yeah.
Like tailbone.
Yeah, like that area. Yeah.
God.
So I got a gnarly scar from that. But like, I mean, I joke that I've like been in the hospital enough times that I like know which are the good food options to pick when those are presented to me.
Yeah. Wait, I didn't even know you got options.
Sometimes, yeah.
Which one? What's the best? Do they have brisket?
Yeah, maybe, yeah, brisket. They've got ossobuco if if you know who to ask.
Sick.
Yeah. Anyway, so I mean, I've like spent far too much time in the hospital. I had a scheduled surgery, and then I had complications in the healing process, and had to go back for a second surgery, and was in the hospital for another week after that. So like, in the last like 3 years, I've been in the hospital for about probably 3 weeks or so, maybe in total between that and a couple other things, but. It's
a couple other things.
I mean, yeah.
I just got to ask a couple other things.
I helped a friend move an air conditioner. I helped a friend move an air conditioner down 2 flights of stairs and got a hernia that way, which is really super fun.
Fuck.
So no good deed goes unpunished. But all of these things, like this. So like COVID happened. End of 2020. I sort of was like, okay, I've got a lot of free time. I want to like. I had taken sort of like a 5 or 6 year, more or less like hiatus from like writing music. And I was in a band in high school called The Standards. And we were like an indie rock group then. And then I was like, you know what, I want to sort of try this out again, and took a crash course in producing on Logic. Found a really great course online. Sort of was like, okay, I want to just like try this whole thing out again, and see sort of, approach it from a much more sort of professional perspective. And, like I'm a 35-year-old dude as this stands. And like, I want to see what I can do with my, skills and background and knowledge and be as resourceful as possible, really. And also that like, there's a great phrase, memento mori, which you may be familiar with, which is like, remember death. And it's like,
we gonna die,
just,
so might as well do it.
Just fucking do the thing, and it's like, that should be the ultimate motivator. It's like, well, I mean, like for me, it was like March 10th, I was like, hey, everything's cool. I'm hunky dory. In 2020, I was like, everything's great. And then like 5 days later, I was like in a room where people were dying. Like that's, so it's like, okay, that's a reminder of like, make things happen. So, but yeah, it's been a, the looming, I would say the looming, threat, or no, I would say like the looming thought of that is certainly, has certainly influenced the kind of music I've written. One of the other songs, was about, that I performed was called Haunt You, which is a thank you. Love song to my wife about how,
Michelle, we love you.
love you too. That if I were to die in surgery, that I promised I would haunt her forever. So it's like a very kind of tongue-in-cheek, but sweet sort of thing. I wrote that with my co-writer Hannah Panzer, who's excellent. Just been surrounding myself with really fantastic musicians and collaborators and stuff. So yeah, it's been, death, and I think the word death or dying or dead or some combination thereof shows up. There's like a word cloud of the lyrics in my songs. Like it would show up in like at least once in each song. So
yeah,
it's certainly been on my mind.
Yeah, it's a good reminder. I mean, it's dark, but also like we're all not unique in that way.
Yeah,
is that we will all die.
Yeah,
and that's kind of a bummer to me, because I'm like, I think life's cool, and I haven't I want to be able to experience everything.
Sure.
Probably won't be able to, but
you can try.
And I really love folks in my life, and I'm going to be bummed.
Yeah.
But
memento vivere is the opposite of memento mori, which is like remember to live, right? That's like the go out and do the thing.
And I'm remembering to live if there's one thing I'm doing.
Yeah, it's just not living every day like it's your last, where it's like just throw caution to the wind 100%, Anyway.
Like, yeah, I'm like, what am I trying to get a 40-hour-a-week job? That's not living. Come on. Anyways, thank you so much, Spencer. I mean, we could talk for so much longer, but we have to give Alex and Neil their house back.
Yeah.
So tell the people at home where they can find you, where they can find your music, where they can find you online. Yeah, totally. SpencerBrill.com. You can get access to all my stuff. I'm on Instagram at Spencer Brill Music. Play live shows with a really fun band, and play solo stuff around the city. And I'm also launching, fingers crossed, the Rising Tide think tank in New York City. Cool.
So that'll be available on via my website too, for everybody to connect.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of Shay and the Good People. And you can follow us on Instagram at Shay and the Good People, just like it's spelled SHAYANDTHE. I'm not going to spell the whole thing because I also can't really spell that well. But come out and see our shows so you can see musicians play. You can find your new musician, and then you can come back and listen to them and their interviews. But we'll see you next time at Shay and the Good People on Instagram. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Can't die, she says, but I know what's ahead. So when I do, I promise to haunt you. When I give up the ghost, I'll find my way home. I'm just a poltergeist that loves his wife.
Thank you all, everybody. Thank you. Come hang out afterwards and be in the bar. Thanks.